LeBron James to the Golden State Warriors. How does that sound, Dub Nation? We got to talk about the big rumor making headlines right now. Plus, the Warriors are reportedly active in the trade market despite what Cy and I thought was going to happen. We'll break it all down. This is Locked On Warriors. You
are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. I'm Kylen Mills, basketball host, analyst, reporter on a number of different media outlets, credentialed media member, and I am writing solo today. Your usual host, Cyrus Satsis, is out. He is resting up today. He just underwent a procedure to have a skin cancer removed from his face. I know he mentioned it on an episode earlier this week, but in case you were wondering, Cyrus, in all of our thoughts, we hope he's on the mend. I know I talked to him over text at least, and he said he was recovering. Hopefully he will be back soon. And again, we just hope that Cyrus makes a quick recovery after getting that scary diagnosis. Now, in the meantime, we do got to talk some hoops here on Locked On Warriors, and we got a lot to get to today. First, we're definitely going to start with that big rumor making a lot of headlines. Is it plausible? Would it happen? What is the deal? What is fueling this LeBron to the Warriors rumors? If you've seen it, it's all over social media. Also, later in the episode, we're going to talk about the trade deadline fast approaching and some reports coming out this week that the Warriors are active in the trade deadline despite their usual MO of not being super active with midseason trades. There's a little bit something different going on this season. Then finally, we do have some injury updates. A lot of people wondering about the status of Jonathan Kuminga. He's been out for a while. James Wiseman, Michael Green. We'll explain when they could return and have some more on that ahead of the Spurs game later on in the show. But first, the trade deadline fast approaching February 9th, less than a month away. Cannot believe it. Will the Warriors be active in that? Well, first, there is a big rumor going around right now. Sean Devaney of Heavy.com reported yesterday that an NBA executive told him the Warriors are shopping around Jordan Poole and that LeBron James of the Lakers is a possible target. What a bombshell. So I don't want to potentially butcher this quote or paraphrase this wrong. So I'm just going to read to you exactly as he wrote it in quotations, what this anonymous NBA executive said. Here's the quote. Quote, if there is a bidding war going on at some point, the Warriors are in a great position because they can give you the young guys, James Wiseman or Jonathan Kuminga or Moses Moody or Pat Baldwin, whoever the Lakers want. But you have to add either Poole or Andrew Wiggins, and that's not easy. But if they want to win now, you have to give up Poole if you're getting LeBron back, right? If they keep Draymond Green and come back with Steph, Klay Thompson, Draymond, and LeBron, that would be a fun team to watch. End quote. Again, this is what an anonymous NBA executive supposedly told Sean Devaney of Heavy.com in regards to LeBron being a potential target for the Golden State Warriors. So I have a lot of thoughts on this. First, I'm not going to necessarily disagree on the last part of that statement that it would be fun to watch LeBron James team up with Steph Curry. You're talking about two of the most dominant players in the NBA in the recent era. Imagine LeBron's vision, the drive, the kick out, and his options are Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Like, that would be fun to watch. And I'm fine with watching that in small doses or isolated incidents. Like, let's watch that in the All-Star game, a special event, whatever. I do not think adding LeBron James is the move for the Warriors right now. So I have two main factors in thinking that. First, obvious, at least to me, obvious, his age and his health. LeBron James, you hear it talked about every single freaking telecast. He's coming up on 40 years old, will be 39 next season. His health is suspect as well. He's dealt with a lot of injuries, naturally happens as you get older. So no surprise, like LeBron is in peak physical condition for his age, but still, like, he's getting older. There's some cracks in the armor. LeBron last played a full NBA season in 2017-18. That was his last year with the Cavs. He missed 26 games last season, 37 the year before. Been pretty healthy this year, missed, I think, maybe 10 or 11 games. And in general, like, the Warriors already have enough injury issues. They've been plagued with that all season. They already have an aging core. You got Andre Iguodala missing like the entire first half of the season. Draymond Green the last couple of years has dealt with injuries. Steph Curry, we know, just coming off an injury. Klay Thompson. So this already aging core has enough injuries to deal with. You're talking about adding a player who's really at the twilight of his career and is, I don't want to say injury prone, but definitely has dealt with injuries later on in his career. Okay, so my next point is you go back to the whole concept that came up with the Kevin Durant trade rumors. Is it worth giving up the future for the win now mentality or to add a superstar? Can the Warriors win now without a blockbuster trade for a KD or LeBron type? My thought is yes. My thought is yes on the second question, no on the first question as to whether it's worth giving up the future to get a star. I think the Warriors can win now without having to give up their entire future for a KD or LeBron. So for a while, I've been saying on the show, and Sai has agreed with me for the most part, the Warriors need to trade for a role player or sign a free agent role player. Don't get me started. I've said DeMarcus Cousins. I've thrown some other names out there. Some of y'all agree. Some of y'all disagree. But I think they need to sign a role player who will solidify their bench, solidify their second unit. The Warriors starters, when healthy, talking about Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond Green, Kevon Looney, they've looked really good. They're the five that have carried this team when healthy. Now, it's been a minute since we've seen all those players healthy because Wiggins, Steph, both have dealt with several weeks worth of injuries. But early on in the season, those five were hot. And you also have to remember, those are the same starting five that won the NBA title last season for the Warriors. So I don't think they necessarily need to insert a starter or a star right away. That starting five, I think, is good enough to win an NBA title. The problem is the second unit and the Warriors bench just being way too thin this season, specifically in the front court. I think that's the area of the biggest need. But to me, the Warriors can get away with maybe giving up a little bit less and adding a role player who will help solidify the bench, help solidify the second unit. I think a big, maybe a 3-and-D player. So I think those are maybe the best options instead of a LeBron or a KD. I know a lot of fans also have thoughts on LeBron's attitude. They don't think he's a winner and that he should have won more championships. He has to go to super teams, whatever. I'm not going to touch those narratives, but still, think what you will. However, fueling the rumors, if LeBron was going to go anywhere, he did say on an episode of the streaming show The Shop back in June that of any playoff team, he'd want to join the Warriors. He made that very clear. One of my favorite parts of that quote was him mentioning that he'd love to get into a pissing match with Draymond Green. And I do think that would be very entertaining to see a little bit of those two going back and forth on the bench. And then LeBron also made headlines back in April when he said he'd want to team up with Steph Curry of any player in the league. And I know you guys have got to remember when those articles swirled around, LeBron said he'd love to play with Steph. And again, I think that would be fun to watch. I just don't think that's necessarily a smart move or the right move for the Warriors right now. Do I think LeBron would do it? Yeah, probably in a heartbeat. Do I think the Warriors would do it? I don't know. Maybe. I don't think they would do it right now. I think the Warriors are very committed to this whole 2-timeline system they've got going, although we could talk for days about whether they've actually been doing a good job of developing these young players that they're wanting to integrate during this 2-timeline scenario. It hasn't been done before, but I don't think they would necessarily be willing to throw the kitchen sink at the Lakers to get an aging LeBron James. Now, for any Warriors fans who might be panicking right now and saying, oh my gosh, these rumors are terrible, the Warriors might sign LeBron James tomorrow. Okay, so I have some good news. This would not be plausible to happen before the trade deadline. So that's one important thing to keep in mind. When a veteran signs an extension, the size and length of the extension determines trade eligibility. Teams are permitted to extend and trade players, but such extensions are limited to no more than a 5% raise in 2 additional seasons. So anything larger than that includes a no trade restriction. Now, LeBron signed a 2-year extension, a major extension with the Lakers this fall. And because he just signed this fall, and because of the amount he signed for, that includes a 6-month no trade restriction. And because of that, that restriction would end after the February deadline. So because of all that, because of the rules, because of the restrictions, the Warriors could not sign LeBron James or trade for him before the upcoming February 9th deadline. If this were to happen, this is a big if, I don't necessarily think it's going to happen, but if the Warriors were going to try to make a move for LeBron, it would have to be in the upcoming offseason. And there's still a lot of questions surrounding this offseason. Draymond Green, contract extensions, he has that option. That's still kind of up in the air. And they're still focused right now on getting Andrew Wiggins and Steph Curry healthy and trying to defend their title. So, it's still a little bit ways off. I don't know how much truth there is to what that NBA executive said, but if the Warriors were going to trade for LeBron James, they wouldn't even be able to plausibly do it until the offseason. So just Try to take a deep breath, Dub Nation. I know seeing the headline probably freaked a lot of people out, but there is no indication that is imminent. However, there is an indication that the Warriors are active in the trade market. And a part of that anonymous NBA executive's report was that they're shopping around Jordan Poole. That's something that piqued my interest for sure. Now, what exactly are they shopping around for? What are they looking for? That's the big question, and I'll give you the answer in just a couple moments. Now, first, we got to give some love to one of our amazing sponsors here on Locked On Warriors. And if you're like me, I'm always on the go. I'm always looking for an easy and delicious snack that I can grab, run out the door. I'm always going somewhere. And I'm also looking for something that's not terrible for me. And the answer is Built Bars. I finally tried them, even though Cyrus still owes me a box. But they are tasty. Like, they actually taste good. Like, some of these bars that are healthy, like, taste like, I don't know, to me, like cardboard rubber. Built Bars are delicious. And then the best part is they don't have a ton of fat. They don't have a ton of calories. I finally tried them, like I said, and I thought they were a great snack and tasted good. The flavors also are unreal. Peanut butter brownie, coconut almond, churro. I mean, come on. Also, the best part to me, like I said, nutrition aspect, for those who count macros like me, each Built Bar has 17 grams of protein with 4 grams of sugar and only 130 calories. Again, come on. Built Bars, awesome. And now you can order them on Built.com to come right to your home, or you can also buy them at Walmart or Sam's Club stores. You got to try Built Bars today.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. And I am excited because we get to talk about trade potential and trade scenarios today. I cannot believe it is already January 12th, at least today when I'm recording this. February 9th is the trade deadline. We are less than a month away. Now, Cyrus and I have been saying on the show, a lot of you have been agreeing, not all of you, some of you, I think a lot of you have been agreeing that the Warriors need to add another piece to make this roster real title contenders and have a real shot at defending the championship. I personally would like to see that happen through free agency. They have an extra roster spot. They could potentially add someone, or they also could sign an Anthony Lamb or a two-way player to a full contract. That's still all on the table, but a trade is also possible. Now, Warriors GM Bob Myers is known for being super stingy about midseason trades. It's something he's never liked to do. But some good news for those of you who are on the same page as Cyrus and I, or those of you who'd like to see a trade happen. NBC Sports Bay Area's Monty Poole reported earlier this week that league sources say the Warriors are active in the trade market. I think this is very intriguing. Again, this doesn't fit with the Warriors' MO, but this is exciting. According to Poole and his sources, or whatever sources he's quoting, there's nothing said to be immediately happening. He didn't throw around any names yet. Supposedly, the front office is still worried about getting Curry and Wiggins healthy, back to speed, getting this group back healthy, because we have not seen that in a long time. The Warriors at full strength. But according to the sources, there is a desire from the Warriors to add size and shooting to the roster. To me, that's not a big surprise. I mean, they're thin in the front court. That's something that Cy and I have talked about all season, feeling like they need to add a big, someone who can bolster the second unit size-wise. And then I'm not also opposed to them adding shooting. I think they need to add a 3-and-D guy. Like, I think the Warriors also need to add someone who's going to bring something defensively, because the Warriors throughout the first half of the season have struggled defensively. That's no secret. I don't have the exact number, but for a while, they've one of the worst defenses in the NBA. So I could see adding a 3-and-D. But so the big news, Warriors active in the trade market despite their usual MO, and then they have a desire to add size and shooting, according to NBC Sports Bay Area's Monty Poole, quoting his own sources. So to add more context to this, head coach Steve Kerr said at a press conference earlier this week, flat out, straight out, pretty direct, that he's concerned about the wear and tear on forwards Draymond Green and Kevon Looney. His quote says, they've been playing such heavy minutes with a number of bigs who've been out over the last few weeks. It's that time of year anyway. That's just difficult. After the new year, before the All-Star break, raining every day. The guys who've been playing heavy minutes absolutely need a break, but you've got to do what you've got to do, end quote. So that's what Steve Kerr told the media in regards to the whole situation. But like, he was pretty straight up that he is concerned about the wear and tear on Draymond and Kylen, especially given the recent injury situation the Warriors have been in. Like, they have been super thin based on the roster construction in the front court to begin with. And then 3 of the players injured right now: Jonathan Kuminga, JaMychal Green, James Wiseman, 3 of those players who can at least take a little bit of the load off of Kylen and Draymond. All 3 of those guys have been out. So that's where you look at just a really heavy workload on Draymond Green. You don't want to see him run into a situation like he ended up in last February, March, when he hurt his back. He was out for an extended period of time. Like, the Warriors need to be trying to get those guys rest now so that they are fresh for the postseason. Draymond and Kylen Looney are going to be critical for the Warriors if they want to make a championship run, but they can't get burned out now. They can't risk getting injured now because they're, doing too many minutes and still losing. Like, the Warriors are still 500. So that's the other thing, like, give some of these guys in the second unit some run, but I think they need to add someone and potentially look to make a trade for a big who could help out. By the way, Kylen Looney, the Iron Man of the Golden State Warriors, his streak of consecutive games hit 152 when he played Tuesday night against the Phoenix Suns. That is the longest streak on the Warriors, obviously, also among the longest in the NBA. So, you're just talking about the Warriors being in a tough spot. They're in a tough spot because of all the injuries. James Wiseman has had a slow start to the season, got sent down to the G League for a while. He just got back and finally was playing some extended minutes with Golden State, starting to get more minutes, then gets hurt again with a left ankle sprain. Wiseman missed the last 5 games. We'll get more to that injury and some updates in the next segment. But so, there's no return date for him right now. He's a player who could have potentially added a little bit, at least right now, a little bit of relief to some of those bigs. JaMychal Green being out with health and safety protocols and then having the leg infection. He's another guy that I think has been inconsistent. I don't know that he's necessarily the long-term answer for the Warriors. But, JaMychal Green could have provided some temporary relief. He's been out. But in regards to JaMychal Green's play, in general, I still think the Warriors need to add a big because I don't think he is going to be a defending championship caliber player in the postseason. To me, Green's been super inconsistent. He has the worst assist to turnover ratio on the team outside of the 2 rookies. He's shooting 51% from the floor, which is all right. That's good. But he's shooting just 26.5% from deep. So the idea of being a stretch big, that's out of the picture. I think his defense has been suspect. So when you look ahead to the postseason, I don't know that I feel 100% confident that James Wiseman is going to be ready because he literally has yet to put together a string of NBA games played. I think it's still possible in the second half of the season. Maybe he could get there, but once again, he's injured. He's injured now. He has yet to do it. So to me, that still remains to be seen. I don't know that JaMychal Green is quite there. And then you've got Andre Iguodala as another potential option. But Iguodala also, missed the first half of the season. He's an older player. He missed a ton of games last season. I think he only ended up playing in about 30 games last season. Iguodala did. So, is he going to be healthy? Is he going to be able to sustain a significant workload in the postseason? I just don't know about the answer. Then the final piece is Anthony Lamb, the only other big the Warriors have. And he's a two-way player. The Warriors first have to sign him to a full roster spot so he can play in the postseason and beyond the 50 game limit. Then the question is a two-way player, or at least a player who came into the season as a two-way player, really ready to be one of the first couple bigs off the bench who you're turning to, the Warriors are turning to him right now for big minutes. Realistically, is Anthony Lamb a player that you want to be turning to in big minutes in the postseason? So for all those reasons, that's why I agree. I think the Warriors need to trade for a big. Okay, so one big that I like, and I want to just throw 2 names out there. I know Cyrus and I have kind of been toying around with this the last couple episodes, but Jakob Poeltl with the San Antonio Spurs, I think would be a doable trade proposal. The Spurs at the bottom of the West, realistically should be open to trading Poeltl. He's in the last year of his 3-year, $26 million contract. I think he's a nice player and would be a great addition. He's averaging more than 13 points per game, nearly 10 rebounds per game, 3.7 assists per game. I think he could potentially jump in and take that starting center role from Looney, move Looney to the bench. And I actually think Looney is a great big coming in off the bench, provide some leadership. He plays in the system really well. He screens well. He knows how to play with these Warriors guys. But I think adding Poeltl would be an absolutely great addition for the Warriors. Another player I want to keep an eye on is the Utah Jazz's Kelly Olynyk. I think that he's shooting 44% from three for the Jazz this season, has shown some excellent value at 31. I think that, coming into the season, it was widely considered that he would potentially be on the trade market and the Jazz would be in the trade market. Now they've been, I think, overperforming what the expectations were. Like, I don't know as much if they'd be willing to give him up, but I think he could be valuable in the front court, floor spacing because of, like I mentioned, his ability to knock down threes. He's someone who can play inside and provide some additional attack in the paint. So I think that's another player to keep an eye on. But we'll just have to see. I know I'm excited. The Warriors are in the trade market, according to reports. There's a lot more players out there potentially the Warriors could target. Aside from those two, they're just those two that I like. And so far, there haven't been any specific names tied to the Golden State Warriors. Now, injuries. I just mentioned all the bigs who've been injured for the Warriors. What is the status? What's going to happen with them? I'll explain all of that in just a minute. But first, we got to give love to another sponsor, LinkedIn Jobs. Now, I cannot tell you, working in media for a decade, how much me, as someone looking for jobs, has turned to LinkedIn Jobs, looking for potential leads, looking for the right fit, and looking for a potential landing spot in my career. So with LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have skills, values, and experiences to help achieve your goals. So if you're a small business owner or a hiring manager, LinkedIn Jobs is a fantastic place to find those really high quality candidates and find people who are looking for the same thing you're looking for, to match up those skill sets, to match the values, and to find the right person, because that's the most important thing. I know so many friends who have found jobs through LinkedIn Jobs, who have found great fits. I know friends who have hired people through LinkedIn Jobs. Actually, my sister specifically uses LinkedIn Jobs. She's a graphic designer who's a marketing manager who hires people underneath her. Long story, to company she works for, and she uses LinkedIn Jobs. It's just a great way to successfully find and attract qualified candidates for your open jobs with the specific targeting tools that are supplied. They go beyond resume data by using insights from your job posts, companies, and there are 875 million member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. So LinkedIn Jobs just makes it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications on one platform. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnba to post your job for free. Terms and conditions may apply.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every single day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. Okay, so we talked all about the trade market, February 9th, the deadline. Another big theme for the season, unfortunately for the Warriors, has been injuries. We have some updates the team released today ahead of their game against the Spurs. The biggest update is that Jonathan Kuminga practiced today, that is Thursday, with the team. He's been out with a right foot sprain he suffered against Portland on December 30th. He's had to miss 4 games. The Warriors said he made good progress. He was able to return to practice. However, he's still listed as out on the team's injury report for that Friday night Spurs game. Losing Kuminga has been really tough for both the Warriors and I think Kuminga's development as well. The Warriors are already thin in the front court. I've already hammered that this entire freaking podcast. But the Warriors could have used him, his size, his athleticism, his rim protection, his defense. Like during the stretch with so many injuries, and you talk about the wear and tear, Jonathan Kuminga could be a great option. Now, I'm also concerned in regards to Kuminga's development. This was a very untimely injury. He was finally starting to play well. He was finally starting to get it. Kuminga was finally starting to look good, especially on defense. His numbers on offense are up as well. He was averaging 9.3 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 3.7 assists per game in his last 10 games before getting hurt in late December. So his offensive numbers were up. I think the game was starting to come to him. It was starting to look more natural. And all of that started because Kuminga was playing well defensively. So it's just super frustrating. Like he finally starts to get more minutes from Steve Kerr after being in the doghouse early this season. He's finally starting to put together a good stretch. He's playing better. And then Kuminga gets hurt. Now, he should be back in the next week in a game capacity, hopefully. He was able to practice today. Hopefully we'll see him in game action in the next week, and he can start to use the second half of the season to really try to prep and be ready to be a major factor in the postseason. Other injury updates for JaMychal Green is said to be progressing well, should be returning to practice soon in the next couple days, according to the Warriors. He has missed, just a ton of time in the last month, whatever it's been. He missed 5 games because of a lower leg infection, previous 5 games due to health and safety protocols. The team said his infection has cleared up. It is healed. That is good news. He's just working on getting his strength and fitness back up to par after dealing with an illness and an injury like that, where, I don't know how much a leg infection keeps you off your feet, but, it may take some time for him to get back there fitness wise and strength wise. He is expected to return to practice in the next couple of days. So getting JaMychal Green back, I think also will be nice for the Warriors. I know I critiqued his play a little bit and some of his inconsistencies, but like at this point, I think the Warriors need any reinforcements they can get. And especially the fact that all 3 of the guys injured are bigs, like, we'll take it. He can still provide some sporadic minutes and at least take a little bit of the workload off of Draymond Green and Kevon Looney. And then finally, we have James Wiseman. Talked about him briefly earlier on in the episode. He's expected to be back at practice soon, next couple days, similar timeline to JaMychal Green, according to the Warriors, after spraining his ankle in late December at a team scrimmage. At this point, he's missed 5 games. And then, by the way, Green and also Wiseman are both listed on the injury report as out for the Spurs game. So none of these 3 are expected to return for the Spurs. The biggest positive is Kuminga is officially back at practice. Wiseman, JaMychal Green expected to get back to practice in the next couple days. Neither of them are back right now. And Wiseman is another player. I touched on it, but just super frustrating to lose him when the Warriors lost him. So like I said, he had a really slow start to the season. He looked honestly like kind of bad early in the season. He got sent down to the G League, got that extended run in Santa Cruz. And I think we did see some good development from Wiseman during that stretch. He just finally gets back with the Warriors. At first, really limited on minutes, given the Wiggins, Curry, and some of these other injuries, Kuminga, this would have been a great opportunity for James Wiseman to get more run and to put together more consistent minutes and longer minutes with the Warriors. But unfortunately, then this injury comes around. So I think this is just also frustrating because it's super untimely for him and his development, trying to incorporate him back into the team, back into playing at an NBA level after that longer stretch in Santa Cruz, and slowly getting more Warriors minutes and then getting more, I guess just for him to get more of Steve Kerr's trust and to start to really build up a role with the Warriors team, again, heading into the second half of the season in the postseason. So Wiseman's injury, just something to keep an eye on. I know a lot of people have been asking for updates about him. He should be back at practice in the next couple of days. And I'm really curious to see, what happens when he comes back. Can he stay healthy? I mean, that's one of my biggest questions. Can James Wiseman stay healthy? And then could he be a factor come the postseason? I still think that there is some question marks surrounding that. He has not yet proven to me that he's really NBA ready and can be a big contributor. And then a couple other just notes today. Andre Iguodala fined $25,000 for inappropriate language towards game officials and throwing the ball into the stands during the fourth quarter of Tuesday night's game. If you all saw that against the Suns, the league just announced the fine today. Iguodala was given a technical and then ejected with about 4.5 to go in the fourth quarter of that loss to the Suns because of unsportsmanlike conduct. Curious to know your thoughts. Like, drop some comments if you have thoughts about his ejection and his tack. Like, do you think it was deserved? Do you think Iguodala was, stupid and losing his cool? Do you think that the refs have just been out of control this season and that they blew the whistle way too fast and that it did not warrant an ejection? Let us know what you think. Drop a line. A lot of people really been questioning the refs this season, especially in their treatment of the Golden State Warriors. Like, I think Draymond Green is clearly a player who, like, refs are so ready to blow the whistle on. Like, I don't think he's held to the same standards as other players in the league. I think just because he's Draymond and he has the reputation he has, they're just like really fast to throw him out of the game. Is that true for Andre? And, I think it was just, or do you think it's just true for the Warriors in general that, the Warriors don't get favorable calls with the refs? Like, I think for sure that's true with Steph Curry. I definitely could see that with Draymond Green. And then, do you think Andre Iguodala deserved the ejection and now the fine that he's getting for his conduct? It was kind of funny seeing Andre Iguodala lose his cool when he's usually the one trying to keep guys in check, specifically Draymond Green. Like Andre Iguodala is like Dre's handler, and not literally, but just like you see him talking Draymond Green down when he gets worked up and he's on the verge of getting attacked and he's on the verge of getting ejected. And Iggy is usually the one trying to talk him down off the ledge or to try to cool him off to prevent him from getting himself in some trouble. And now Andre Iguodala ended up getting himself ejected. All right, so the Warriors take on the Spurs at the Alamo Dome, playing in a football dome. They're playing under the Friday night lights, looking for a record crowd. The team was out at the Alamo Dome today, Thursday, getting some shots up ahead of the game, expecting 63,000. According to the Spurs, they announced that they sold 63,500 tickets for the game, hoping to set a new NBA record for a crowd. And to break the NBA single game attendance record when they host the Warriors. I think that would be pretty cool, pretty interesting to watch. Some of the players were asked today when they were getting those shots up if they like playing in a football dome. Was it a big adjustment? Does it affect their shot? Klay Thompson's answer, it's pretty easy to adjust. Rim is still 10 feet, like Gene Hackman said. Steph Curry said that it doesn't take that long to calibrate. So good news, the Warriors say they are ready and raring to go for the Spurs game, potential of a record-setting crowd. We've got a lot of positives to look forward to when we got those injury updates today. Jonathan Kuminga back at practice. There are two other bigs, James Wiseman, JaMychal Green, both expected to return to practice in the next couple of days. Steph Curry's back. Andrew Wiggins is back. Both those guys, I think, have still looked rusty. I think they need some more time. But I do think they'll both be back to their usual selves quicker than maybe we all think. So a lot of positives to walk away with, a lot of positives moving forward for the Warriors, although that Tuesday night loss to the Suns was pretty disappointing. They're continuing to get more reinforcements. Steph and Wiggs are going to continue to get back into a groove. They're going to keep playing better. And so it's all good. It's all good. It's all love. LeBron James, the Warriors, don't panic. Warriors fans. Warriors take on the Spurs. Hopefully they walk away with the win and continue to trend upward. I mean, the West is still wide open, and Cyrus and I keep talking about it. I mean, thank goodness the Western Conference is where it's at and that teams have not been able to. There's no like really strong teams separating themselves, at least when it comes to the middle of the pack. Like the Warriors can be fourth one day, eighth the next, a game back, you know. So they're still right in the mix halfway through the season, trade deadline approaching. Warriors could be making a move to bolster the roster. They're going to be getting some more players back and at full strength potentially very, very soon. And that'll do it for us today. Thanks for making Locked On Warriors your first listen today. Now make your second listen game to game NBA. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NBA with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NBA, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. Golden State Warriors fans, Dub Nation, hang in there. More reinforcements are coming. There could be even more reinforcements coming in the form of a trade, as the Warriors are reportedly active in the trade market. They take on the Spurs in front of what should be a record-setting crowd. Have a wonderful night, and we will see you next time.